Hello friends, I'm Michaela. Welcome to my astrology channel, Todayenergy. In this video, we will be discussing the upcoming partial solar eclipse. It will happen on the 30th of April, late in the evening at 10 degrees and 28 minutes of Taurus. Now, I will be discussing everything from the point of view of Eastern European time zone, because I'm located in Sofia in Bulgaria. So you can recalculate it for more precise dates for your location and your time zone. In this video, we will discuss generally what is an eclipse, who are the participants in this astrological event. We will look back in the past to see where this energy originated and kind of the cycles and the repetition that you can expect this time to play out in your life, how it is connected to some previous years. Then I will mention a couple of words about each planet, which might be triggered in your personal natal chart by this specific eclipse. And last but not least, finally, I will discuss for each separate zodiac sign, sun, moon, and rising, what you can personally expect from this very significant pivotal event. Now, first of all, what are the eclipses? We have eclipses every year, so that's not something out of the ordinary. As regularity, we have each year from 4 up to 7 eclipses. Of course, when there are 6 or 7 of them, like it was in 2020, we all know we can expect rather a difficult for the society year. This year, 2022, there are 4 eclipses, and this one marks the beginning of the spring season of eclipses, because we have this partial solar eclipse now on the 30th of April, and then 2 weeks later we will have a total lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Of course, not every eclipse will play out so intensively and obviously for each person, but later in this video you will get to know whether you can expect something more significant out of it. Every solar eclipse is a very empowered, very strong new moon. So we have the moon is between the Earth and the Sun, but in order to have an eclipse, the moon must cross the ecliptic of the sun, right? So it can like cast a shadow on Earth, on certain parts of the Earth. The points of crossing between the moon's orbit and the sun ecliptic are called lunar nodes. They are astronomical, calculated mathematical points. We have 2 nodes, north and south node. In astrology, these 2 bodies are perceived as 2 karmic points. Each of us we all have them in our natal charts. We were born with north and south nodes somewhere in the natal chart. They always are opposite to each other, and that's how they also move through the zodiac signs. By the way, they always move in a retrograde motion on the sky. So there are eclipses when the luminaries are at least 18 when the luminaries are 18 degrees away from the nodes, 18 or closer. The nodes spend in a sign 1.5 years approximately. In this case, we have the sun and the moon conjuncting, right? And they're 13 degrees away from the north lunar node. Indians, or in Vedic astrology, north node is called Rahu and south node is called Ketu. So in this case, the North Node is at 23 degrees of Taurus. The North Node are all the lessons that we are meant to learn in this lifetime, in this reincarnation. Most of all, we start realizing what's going on, what we are learning, what we're supposed to deal with in the second half of our life, of course. Those are the talents that we have to reveal in us and show them to the world. This is something that we have to acquire as knowledge, as skills. Rahu shows us the direction of our personal development and growth. Sometimes it might be scary, but sometimes it's just very attractive and exciting. So we are eager to try it, and more we want of it, because Rahu, according to Indian mythology, Vedic mythology, it's called the head of the dragon. So it's like a huge dragon jaw's mouth, that it's insatiable. It wants more, it wants new. Rahu brings more material energy, because Ketu, the opposite node, brings more spiritual energy of letting go and releasing. But Rahu can give you things in life. It symbolizes as well the young generation, things from the future, things that are futuristic or exotic even. So in this case, we have this double whammy, because solar eclipse by itself is a new moon, which talks about new beginnings, new opportunities. And Rahu as well is like a sight towards the future, towards something new and exciting. Yeah, eclipses are not always comfortable, especially depends on your natal chart, especially if you're not ready to change and to go with the flow of changes and karmic events. Let's say if you have a lot of fixed energy in your chart, then it's a bit more distressing to be in this eclipse season. I would say, as an advice, it's very important around eclipses not to overreact, not to be led by your emotions. And act impulsively. We should rather go with the flow and accept these new possibilities that come into our life. We should be like happy and grateful that we can start something, some new period in life. Now, what about the effect, the influence of the eclipses? There are different opinions out there among the astrological community. Some astrologers say that an eclipse can influence us already like 6 months before it happens, and up to even 6 months later. That's quite a lot, I would say, because eclipses do happen. These seasons of eclipses are usually 6 months apart of each other. So in my opinion and in my experience, I start feeling this karmic, fateful changes, people I meet in life about 2 weeks before the eclipse, which means that for me, like the previous lunation, whether it's a new moon or full moon, 2 weeks before the eclipse itself, marks kind of the start of this turmoil of energy and fated events for us, which means in our case, 16th of April, we had the Libra full moon, and since then we entered into this corridor or season of eclipses. And of course, the most dense the energy is 3 days before and after the eclipse, when I really don't recommend people to take some important decisions and do some drastic changes. But if such happen in your life, then you just kind of accept them and try to integrate them in your life. In fact, we might even see, because solar eclipse, new moon, is like planting the seeds, so it's not always so obvious what's going on. But then we can see some kind of culmination or realize at all what's happening, let's say 2 weeks after the eclipse, or even 6 months after. In our case, that's going to be 8th of November, when we will have a full lunar eclipse at 16 degrees of Taurus. Or even in some cases, if you keep a diary, if you really follow the cycles, and you remember and you see the cause and effect chain in your life, then what's starting now can come to fruition, culminate, be so obvious and clear for you, and you can even get some results out of it 18 months later. So that would be 28th of October 2023, when we have a partial lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus. Let me share the screen with you. So yeah, like this, you should be able to see. So this is the map of the eclipse built for 30th of April, Eastern European time, 23:28, Sofia, Bulgaria. Most importantly is, of course, that the planets will be on their positions. In the moment of the eclipse, that is Sun and Moon conjunct at 10 degrees, 28 minutes of Taurus. And this degree becomes sensitive for a while. Not, of course, maybe for, I don't know, many years, but it will be activated by the next planets passing through here. And that's going to be, for example, Venus. Venus will be here on the 6th of June this year. So, you know, this energy might be re-triggered then. Then Mars will pass through the same degree on the 20th of July. So another possibility of activation of this eclipse. And most importantly, kind of the responsible one for all this fuss or all this hustle and bustle is the North Node, Rahu. Remember, the nodes move backwards, always retrograde. Here is the North Node, here is the South Node, right across in opposition. So the North Node now is at 23 Taurus, but on the 11th of January 2023, so next year, the beginning of next year, Rahu will come at 10 degrees 28 minutes of Taurus, and that's going to be a massive activation, in my opinion, of the energies we are discussing right here and right now. Eclipses belong to cycles. They are called Saros cycles, and this eclipse is from a family number 119. So in order to be completely fair and completely know the energy of this eclipse, we have to go to its ancestor, to the eclipse that started this Saros cycle 119. And I did introduce it to my program here. It was 15th of May, 850. This is the kind of the beginning of this family of eclipses. So the topics in this day and year will be always with us when next eclipses from this family happen, which is every 18 years. And so what do we see here is that, again, Sun and Moon are in Taurus, so that's already repeating the topics of Taurus, but here they are together with Jupiter, who wants expansion. Taurus can mean land, property, possessions, food, supplies, resources. So Jupiter might want to expand land, territory. But also Jupiter might mean that our resources is our education, faith, and belief system. Even more so that this eclipse trined Neptune in Capricorn, and Neptune talks about the dreams of abundance, of fertility, of working your land, being at peace, relying on the material stability. Yeah, Capricorn is like the government will take care of us, the state, and so on. So that's pretty positive image. But we always have to check also the ruler of the eclipse. In this case, it's Venus. Venus rules Taurus. So Venus, though, it's in a difficult position. it's a detriment position for Venus to be in Aries, because instead of bringing joy, beauty, resources, money, pleasure, diplomacy, such Venus is like Amazonian lady. So she is willing to fight, though whether she's very good fighter, it's question, right? And here Venus is kind of smacked between two very heavy karmic planets. We have Pluto and we have Saturn here. Not only that, but also Venus is in a square with Mars. And Mars is very strong in Capricorn. So it's like a bit of a warrior state, and fighting again for what? For land, for natural resources, for expansion of your territory, and for your dream state. This is what I could say about the topics of these eclipses in kind of mundane astrology. By the way, in the late 9th century, 850 and so on, it was the time of Viking invasion on the, in England, in other parts of Europe, France. So indeed, people were fighting for land and for material resources. Now, if we go to our current eclipse that we want to check, we see again, of course, it's in Taurus. So the repetition of the topic of food, of nutrition, of natural resources, of wanting to flourish, to be secure and stable financially, to receive pleasures from life. But here we see that the luminaries are conjunct with Uranus, the god of change, the god of revolution, the god of sky and lightning. So Uranus in earthly Taurus might literally mean earthquakes. It might mean changes in bank systems, in supply systems. Uranus might really shake what you thought is so obvious and stable, like especially your possessions. And your value system might change as well. And Uranus, it's about the future. It's about science. It's about technologies. It's about genetics and modifications. So maybe here we're talking about more and more genetically modified foods. Maybe we are talking here about sending food, seeds, soil out of space, or out in the space, because Uranus is the god of sky, astrology, astronomy. And maybe we will be talking about really like sending some of our plants and seeds somewhere to, I don't know, Mars, for example, to start growing them there. Uranus is about heights and anything up there. So maybe we're talking about living in mountains, living in skyscrapers, high buildings. If we talk Taurus like finances, so of course some changes in cryptocurrency, maybe some new such currencies would appear. And last but not least, for me, this is decentralization. This is Uranus with this eclipse in Taurus. It's about shared resources on very small local level. So not anymore importing, let's say, avocados from, I don't know, somewhere from where they come, Mexico, for example, but like growing what your soil and your community, your country is best known of, and like focus on the local resources. Of course, everything that happens now, once again, can be manifested, let's say, in 6 or 18 months or next January, and Rahu will make all this extremely popular, and everyone suddenly will want to have it as well and to do it. On personal level, we should be just ready for really unexpected changes, possibly even revolutions or instability in our own life. Maybe you would be just become more interested in cryptocurrency or IT technologies. Now, the last eclipse from this Saros cycle, 119, was on the 19th of April, 2004. That's 18 years ago. It was at 11 degrees of Taurus. Sorry, it was Sun and Moon were at 29 Aries, but the North Node was at 11 degrees of Taurus. So maybe something similar that started back then in 2004 for you will be repeating itself in your life. The next one, the next eclipse from this series will be in 18 years, that is 2040, in spring 2040. We can check some lunations that were happening in the same degrees of Taurus, whether they were eclipses or not. And in our case, it was just a normal new moon at 10 degrees of Taurus, and it happened on the 1st of May, 2003. So again, maybe repetition of similar topics that were born or initiated back then for you in spring 2003. Who will feel the most this eclipse? Of course, people who have ascendant, rising sign, or MC, the cusp of their 10th house, or sun, moon, any planets, points here, let's say from 7 to 13 degrees of Taurus, as well as from 7 to 13 degrees of Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo, the fixed signs, exactly the ones who really are meant rather to sustain, to maintain, to develop, not to rush, not to change. Yeah, because I also belong very much to this fixed energy, we are experiencing lately, and for about one more year, really big, I would say, changes in the cardinal areas of our lives. Now, let's see what would happen if indeed you have planets from 7th to 13th degree of any of these fixed signs, and what these planets generally talk about. So if you have the sun in these degrees, then you might experience something important related to your health, to your self-expression, to your life goals, your ambitions, your career, well-being. It might be then also something happening not in your life specifically, but in the life of your father, your superior at work, director, for instance, or manager, or your husband maybe, or maybe in the life of someone with authority in your life. Male figures, important male figures, maybe they will experience some fated events. If the moon is triggered by this eclipse for you, then it will be quite emotional for you. Emotions will be provoked, feelings, especially a feeling of safety, what makes you feel happy as well. There might come some changes in your location, your place of living, maybe relocation, changes in your eating habits. But also these changes might be not directly yours in your life, but in the life of your mom, of your family overall, of women in your life. For some, by the way, it might mean this eclipse might bring pregnancy, giving birth, becoming a parent. Or it might be inception, and like impregnating, not in a physical sense of a child, but some project, some idea in your life. If Mercury is triggered by this eclipse, then you really might get some important news. You might meet important people. There might be activation of travels. Relocation is possible as well. Buying, selling something, especially through internet. If you do some social media or IT work, then these areas will be boosted in your life. Business, small business as well. And studying, you might decide you want to study something. You might finish, of course, some course. Acquiring new skills will be important for you. Sharing ideas, thinking, sharing information, knowledge, and last but not least, you might want to take care of your vehicle. If Venus is triggered for you by this eclipse, then we talk about, of course, some new relationships, new friendships coming into your life. Maybe something important happens in the life of your girlfriends, because Venus represents younger women. We might talk about changes in your value system, and you might want to start working on your self-esteem. So how much do you love and value yourself? And hence, how much do you earn in life? What do you spend your money for? And what are your possessions? What do you want to acquire? Financial changes might happen in your life. If Mars is triggered in your chart by this eclipse, then it might be time of too much energy, conflicts, fights in a positive sense that might be activating your ambitions. You might decide what you are interested in, what you want to fight for, protect, how you want to assert yourself. Maybe changes in life of important males in your life. A lot of energy. You can use it for sport activities, for intimate relationships, for putting yourself out there and go for what you want. If Jupiter is activated by this eclipse, it's a happy time because it means some lucky events, something that would make you feel optimistic and happy, expansion of your living space, depends on the house as well, where it happens in your chart. It might make you popular, demanded, specialist, expert. You might meet some stars you like, some popular people, your teacher, your guru. Jupiter here activated might bring in your life some juridical law matters like court trials, relocation as well, travels, or work in the international environment, and studies as well. Here might change entirely your moral code, your belief system, how do you see the world, worldviews, and your goals. If Saturn is triggered by this eclipse, well, then it's a time of really karmic changes in life. You have to establish, or life will establish some rules and regulations in your life. Saturn wants structure. You have to have a structure in your life. Through overcoming obstacles, solving problems, working hard, you will become more mature. Maybe you will become a parent, or maybe changes are happening in the life of your superiors or parents or some older people in your life. Or you become wiser, more responsible. There is crystallization of what you dream about, what you want. Yeah, you are ready to build foundations. And of course, Saturn can bring not only problems and making, like, let's say, your life space smaller in a sense, and do some repairs and so on, but Saturn will bring you deserved success and recognition for your efforts, great status. You might become a director now or owner of your own business, and of course you will work hard for it, right? If Uranus is activated, most probably in Scorpio here, then really you might expect some drastic changes, some shocking events, at the very least something very surprising, something very new. It might come from you. You might feel like a rebel. You want to get rid of everything old, stagnating in your life, ready to jump into something new, especially if it's about IT, technologies, maybe if it's about astrology, astronomy, science. So you might shock other people with being this rebel. There might be new friends and group of friends for you. Or you might be interested in robotics, electricity, internet as well. Just remember the rule not to act too impulsively in this 1 month and a half, I would say, while the 2 eclipses last in this springtime. So accept what life brings you, what changes there are. Especially it will be in your case about really letting go of something old. It might feel interesting, exciting, or maybe even unpleasant, but this is the karmic path for your soul. So don't be afraid of it. And, just explore it with curiosity. If Neptune in Scorpio most probably is triggered for you, then it's about the opposite of Saturn. It's about relaxing. It's about kind of letting go as well. Things might flow away from you. You might become just easygoing, whatever minded, like whatever, you don't care. You might go into arts, into spirituality, which is great if you need to relax a bit more in your life. Dream, meditate. But on the other hand, Neptune activated here might make you a bit more confused. You don't know where you are exactly. You lost your direction. So in this case, it's really nice to pay more attention to spirituality, to art, visual arts, poetry, maybe philosophy, religion, even. Do some charity work that will help you greatly. Be compassionate, love others, but also be careful of scams and false gurus in your life to follow. Neptune can bring you sea voyages. Just you go somewhere on very exotic, faraway places. Last but not least, if Pluto is activated for you, Pluto in Scorpio, like myself, then you might want to get ready for really intense inner work with yourself, self-reflection, self-scrutiny, analyzing your behavior, your subconscious. It's very recommendable here to work with psychologist, with esoterical teacher, with astrologer, exploring your psyche, your meeting the demons, your inner monsters, your inner demons, this shadow that you normally would be afraid of, this inner pain, maybe some traumas from the past, some unpleasant, scary emotions, fears, the thing that you wouldn't trust people, being betrayed, and so on. Because Pluto is very suspicious, and Pluto tries to hide everything, so as if nothing happened, and put the poker face, but it's very poisonous. So finally you start poisoning yourself. And the tale about Scorpio who kills himself because he stinges himself. So you should not allow this. And Pluto here wants to liberation, wants to let go of this, what hunts you, and to be extremely, how to say, really honest with yourself on the very first place, and with the others as well. Because if you try to hide and to protect yourself. If you are in this protective mode, then it will just provoke possibly more troubles, right? So this eclipse with your Pluto, if such is the case, wants your bravery and honesty, to face yourself, your inner shadow, and then kind of befriend yourself, right? And become your own savior and protector. And this is great for self-empowering, to getting back your power, your control, your self-control over your life, without distrusting others, but trusting more yourself, and that you can take care of yourself and everything in life. Like really, it's really overcoming your fear, whatever it is. Yeah. And then you become actually really invincible, and it's kind of a renewal, it's kind of a being reborn, right? It's like this major arcana number 13 in the tarot cards, the death card, which is ruled by Pluto, by Scorpio. It's about releasing what no longer serves you, learning to let go, to go with the flow, not to attach to people or things or possessions, and knowing your own power. If your Rahu is in Taurus, that means you're experiencing the nodal return. You might be 18, 37, 55, or 74 years old now. If your Ketu is in Taurus, then maybe you're 27, 46, 64, 83, then it's the reversed nodal return. Then it's a very karmic time for you. First of all, it's inner reassessment, re-evaluation. Again, you have to work with yourself, like where I am now, what brought me here, why I am in such position, am I happy, am I not, what I want to change, how should I do it, right? So this inner reflection, accepting the truth as it is, what's going on, and of course meeting face to face your destiny and what you have to adjust and change in your life. Now, one more thing, that did we check the eclipse on the 30th of April. So we checked that it's conjunct Uranus, that brings some freedom, liberation, rebellion, earthquakes for us, something new and exciting. Rahu also likes new and exciting. The ruler of this eclipse, Venus, is conjunct Jupiter in Pisces. So that's a good news, because Venus is exalted here. She's very caring. She's very loving. She's compassionate. Love for arts. Big faith. Faith in life and trust in yourself, in others, in higher powers. And especially with Jupiter, it's like really optimism. We will be able to overcome any obstacles. It's idealism, right? Being idealist and just believe that everything is going to be all right. Jupiter might give really expansion to the financial area of Venus, and finances in this case might come from spirituality, from charitable activities, from anything connected to liquids and water, journeys, travel, tourism is revived now currently after COVID. And education and religion even is highly supported and highlighted here. I would say also, of course, any type of financial business, but mostly it's about caring of the others, this unconditional love and support. You can see also that there is a sextile between the eclipse and Mars in Pisces, and sextile is opportunities to act on our beliefs and our faith, right? But be careful with the rose-colored glasses, because there is semi-square between the luminaries and Neptune, who is about dreaming and escaping reality, and maybe sometimes isolating and feeling lonely, scams. So that might be something that would irritate us. So it's important to dream big. Yes, it's true, especially after this great conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune that happened on the 12th of April. So now it's reactivated by Venus. So dreaming is good, but also we have to do something and act confidently. Jupiter gives great confidence and knowledge to know how, and really setting tangible goals about the future. So, and now we will discuss a couple of words about each separate zodiac sign, what you can expect from this eclipse. I recommend listening the information for your rising sign, but also your sun sign and moon sign. So dear Aries, for you, this eclipse happens in your second house. We're talking here about some possibilities for fresh new start at work, some new way to create income, new possibilities to create your material security and foundations. Maybe you will be changing overall your value system. What is important in your life? What do you appreciate? What do you value? Second house is your budget. So there might be some sudden changes of income source. Or maybe your work will require you to learn new technologies or cooperate with IT specialists. It might be connected to some robotics, gadgets, science, technologies, internet, or maybe even flights to somewhere. By the way, you might suddenly decide to take better care of your nutrition and how you feed your body, what do you eat, and overall take care of your health. There might be diversification of your income. So some of you maybe suddenly decide to become a freelancer, to open your own business, or to start earning money from different sources, or even work with a team of like-minded people, or establish some business with your friends. Now, the ruler of the eclipse, Venus, is in a great position in a sign of exaltation with Jupiter. That's your 12th house. So maybe your source of income will come from abroad, from far away, exotic land. It might be distant work or home office, or some work that you perform in a place of isolation. Rather, it might be involving working with foreigners. And definitely, if we talk about your body and your health as per the second house eclipse, that might bring you inner feeling of being light, being happy, being hopeful, optimistic. Maybe you are getting rid of something in your life. Maybe second house also is our possessions. So it's good now to make some spring cleaning of your house, of your wardrobe, maybe donate something or get rid of some old stuff that it's just cluttering your living space. We're talking about physical things, but also maybe you want to make the emotional and psychological declutter as well, and get rid of unhealthy, self-destructive habits. Dear Taurus, the eclipse, of course, happens in your first house. So the first house is how you present yourself to the world, how you establish contacts, relationships, communication. It's the area of our natal charts talking about our initiation, being courageous, starting something new in life. And you have this great possibility now to actually act very independently. Be very rebellious, be free, shake off everything burdensome that obstructs you, that it's from the past. So you are now our guiding light, our beacon, that talks about the future, about the progress, about the development. So you might suddenly become interested in internet, in social media, technologies, robotics, science, futuristic novels, flying, the space, astrology, genetics, some kind of non-common and non-traditional topics. And frankly, dear Taurus, even though you are yourself quite fixed, stable, traditional energy, now this eclipse and Uranus make you very like boiling and very shocking. Frankly, you can shock people around you with something very innovative and new in your life. Of course, talking first house, it can be new image, new look, new style of clothes. Maybe you suddenly cut completely your hair, something like that. Of course, maybe you are either establishing some very unique, unusual connections, maybe with some IT people or highly technological experts. Maybe you introduce some new spark into your already existing relationship, because Uranus likes excitement, and you might bring this excitement into your relationships. And of course, some of you in this very rebellious wave now can decide to eliminate suddenly someone from your life that you consider as someone who is rather contributing to your stagnation. It's important, dear Taurus, to be bold, brave, enthusiastic, curious, courageous, and to be initiator. Now, Venus, your ruler, and hence the ruler of the eclipse, is very happy now, conjuncting Jupiter in Pisces. That's your 11th house. So we're talking here about all these changes being beneficial for your social activities, for you joining the right groups of people who you will feel that they're your tribe. You can establish such a group. You can be the leader now. If you notice that your colleagues, your friend, your partner doesn't recognize you, doesn't understand you, appreciate you, and so on, and it's like suffocating you in a sense, then you go for your new society, your new family, kind of your new tribe. New friends might come, and they might be very interesting people, foreigners. They might be people of status, teachers. Maybe you're joining some university, some studies. So you can kind of look up to these people and take example from them, or you might become such a person that everyone around you would look up to you and follow you. 11th house, you're having your ruler with Jupiter in the 11th house, talks about huge popularity and success, whether in internet or in some political or non-political organizations and just groups of interests. And definitely you feel very excited and very motivated and happy and lucky, I believe, during this eclipse. Now, dear Gemini, for you, this eclipse happens in your 12th house. We can call it the beginning of the end, because solar eclipse, of course, it's a very powerful new moon. It's about new beginnings, but 12th house is about endings. So maybe this Uranus here will electrify you from within, from inside. First of all, it might be hard to sleep, to relax. Maybe you will be like constant nervous agitation. Here you might want to, of course, meditate, go to the nature, and during this spiritual practices, you might get some very significant, life-changing, important insights or thoughts or feelings or ideas. Of course, if you're working with a psychologist or spiritual leader or astrologer, for example, they might help you dig very well inside you get back to your past and reconnect maybe with some ancestors or past life. If we're talking here about health, it might talk about mental, emotional, also possibly physical health. Then you might consider some non-traditional medicine approach. Maybe it's some technology using magnetic fields or waves or lasers, something like this, Uranic, from the future, like geomagnetic fields or, something like this to heal yourself. Listen to your intuition and get rid of the past. This is a great eclipse for cleansing as body as well as mind and soul. And the ruler of this eclipse, Venus, is very happy with Jupiter in your 10th house. So all this ending and cleansing and inner insight might help you determine your vocation, your mission in this life, what you want to do, the way that you shine and you earn respect and social status, but also you help and contribute to the society. So obviously it can help to your career growth and development, change of your status, because if you get rid of some unhealthy habits, you might establish better relationships and form a family, for example. Maybe you think of a profession that can be a doctor, a professor, teacher, tour guide, something in tourism, something about traveling, yoga instructor. Also, this eclipse might bring some changes in your relationship with your parents or superior people at work, like your boss, for instance, or your manager. So maybe you become such. Dear Cancer, for you, this eclipse happens in your 11th house. We're talking here possibilities for new friendships. Maybe you cut some old people from your life that you feel they no longer click with you, and you have already different vision for your development. So now it's a great time to either establish around yourself some group of like-minded people or join some organization, political, NGO, just a dancing club. Maybe you start studies, because actually Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, she is with Jupiter in your 9th house, talking about education, about traveling, about foreigners. So maybe you're joining with people from different culture, or you start traveling with your friends, or you go to receive some education in some course or university, and there you meet your new friends. If we talk about work, of course, maybe you start work in an international corporation, company. Maybe also this eclipse will change completely your dreams, your long-term goals, your vision for yourself, because Venus and Jupiter in the 9th house talk also about your perception of life and principles and your own horizons. So clearly here we're talking about freedom, about expansion, about going out of your home, country, environment, comfort zone, and explore the world. Maybe even gain some interesting knowledge and beliefs. And become popular. 11th house and 9th house is about status and popularity and being accepted as a great expert. Dear Leos, for you, this eclipse happens in your 10th house. We're talking here about significant changes, possibilities for new beginnings in your career. For some of you, it might be finding your true mission in life, finding how you can be successful, popular, with great status, and at the same time, of course, help the world, help people in society, being useful. 10th house can talk about status. Uranus can be sudden changes. So maybe some of you, let's say, change job. Maybe some of you would be, I don't know, fired, but at the same time, it's good because you can be free and start your own business, become a freelancer, computer or grab your laptop and go to work remotely somewhere. Because of Uranus here, it's really about independence at work or in a personal field. Also could be either divorce or marriage, maybe becoming a parent. Or working as well can be with technologies, with robotics, with science, with internet, in groups, with like-minded people, with astrology as well. Some of you maybe decide this step to become a professional astrologer. Most importantly, this must resonate with your true nature and be authentic, this professional dream that you go for. Venus and Jupiter, Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, very happy in Pisces in your 8th house. So we're talking about financial possibilities, big ones, I would say. At the very least, it can be a present, just a present from someone. Also, maybe you're getting a loan or investment into your new creative, innovative business ideas. Maybe you get some payment back from tax institutions. Of course, you have to be very fair there. Maybe good news about the increasing salary of your partner, spouse. Maybe your family business is going well, or overall this shared resources can be very pleasing for you and make you happy. Of course, 8th house could be, because generally it's a crisis area. It's about life and death and deep internal transformation. So some of you might have the news that they are about to become a parent, so about pregnancy. Maybe it's working with a psychologist or astrologer, just to understand yourself better, your plans, ideas, desires, what you want to do in the future with your life. Healing some old wounds, traumas. Maybe it's related to parents or to some people in authority, elder people in your life. As a money-wise, you can receive inheritance as well, or sponsorship for your professional plans, if it's independent career. But yeah, like Venus in 8th house either wants you to focus on passive income and shared resources, consultations. Maybe you decide that you want to be a consultant, therapist, or astrologer. Virgo, for you, this eclipse happens in your 9th house. It's about studies, it's about learning, it's about sharing your worldview, your knowledge, teaching. With Uranus, it can happen unexpectedly. Suddenly, you might be invited to perform some course, studies. It might be related to acquiring new technical skills in possibly something related to internet, social medias, electricity, gadgets, modern technologies, informational technologies. It might be international environment where you meet interesting new people that might become your kind of soulmates and your tribe, your people. Maybe it's a group project. A 9th house, you can suddenly meet some important for you teacher, expert, guru, who will change your worldview and principles. Or it might talk about some sudden law cases that you must attend. Maybe it's an end of such law case. Maybe it's just the beginning. It's a possibility. Eclipse in the 9th house is a possibility to gain respect, admiration, and popularity, to gain visibility. Also, for some Virgos, such eclipse in the 9th house can bring second marriage, a second spouse, and grandchildren. Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, she is very happy with Jupiter in your 7th house. So we're talking about cooperation with someone. Maybe it's indeed a new partner, maybe it's a foreign partner, maybe you sign a contract with a foreign company, or you find the best lawyer and the legal advisor for yourself, because 7th house is consultancies, people who advise us, or maybe you work as a consultant and you get some nice new clients. Venus and Jupiter is happiness, is expansion, maybe expansion of your clientele, of your contacts. Of course, it might be really personal. Area, so engagements, weddings, happiness with your partner, but also it might be successful contracts. Libras, for you, this eclipse happens in your 8th house. It's a bit of a tougher area of natal charts because 8th house talks about deep inner work, transformation. It's like rebirth. It's very Scorpionic house. On a more everyday level, 8th house is about passive incomes, whether from a property or from your investments. Maybe there will be new beginnings for your spouse regarding their finances, or overall in your family finances. Of course, some of you Libras are taking loans. It might be from some new type of financial organization, or to support some of your maybe IT projects or business related to internet or new technologies. 8th house, suddenly there might be news about pregnancy, but also possible some kind of emotional turmoils and shakeups. If you thought that everything is like super stable and grounded, Uranus can, and eclipse as well, it's a very like turmoil of energy, unstable energy. So there might be really sudden changes in your passive incomes and finances. If we talk about psychology, because 8th house is a lot about our feelings and psychology, maybe there will be sudden, if you work with a therapist or astrologer, esoteric person, then maybe you will suddenly tap into some old wound that you preferred so far to hide and to forget, but it's just been like rottening inside you. So it's important to discover it and take it to the light, to work with it, accept it, and release it. So there can be sudden emotional liberation, you know, because Uranus talk about freedom. So you might be free from your inner fears and traumas. And of course, if 8th house is sometimes about health and operations, if some of you are planning operation, then it might be performed with the usage of very modern technology. Let's say instead of a knife, just it might be laser, or it might be this kind of laparoscopy or something that is considered more modernistic equipment for interventions, some vibrations or ultrasound or something like that. And yes, we are talking here possibly about health or work, because Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, she is very happy. I must tell you, Venus is with Jupiter in Pisces in your 6th house. So Venus rules you as well as Tauruses. So you should feel definitely happy, hopeful, optimistic, well-renowned, as good expert. 6th house can talk about work. So in this case, you receive admirations, of course, good salary for your work projects. Maybe there is a lot of work, maybe it's involving experts or people from abroad, foreigners. There is a focus, if there is a focus on your health, then you will receive really good medical care. You will find the very right for you, helping you really experts, medical facilities, food regime. Venus and Jupiter together in the 6th house can give you a bit more of a sweet tooth, so more craving for sugar and pizza and fatty things. So it's okay to spoil yourself sometimes, but then don't forget to take your health into your own hands, in the sense that you should take care of your nutrition, regime and daily regime overall, like sleeping, like relaxing, sport, walks outside in the nature. If you are into doing some repairs of your home, which by the way here 8th, 6th house is possible, that you would deal with some situations that you need to fix something, repair something, or help someone, then you will definitely be blessed with a great help and support and people who will help you. Also, you might get financial sponsorship for your work project, health needs, as well as let's say repairments in your home. Dear Scorpios, for you, this eclipse falls into your 7th house. It's very possible that you meet some new people, very unusual, very interesting, strange. It might be kind of the underdog type of a person or genius one. It might be very freedom-loving people, foreigners. You might have connection through internet, distant connection. Maybe this eclipse can bring you new clients or advisors. It's important here because talking about this eclipse season, but overall for 1.5 years, Ketu, the south node, is transiting Scorpio, and Rahu, the north node, is transiting Taurus, which means that you kind of forget about your own needs and your own stuff, and you pay more attention to your partner, whether business partner or spouse or long-term boyfriend, girlfriend, your best friends, because they're the ones who now charge for the progress, and they lead us, they show us the direction of development, because Rahu, it's about the future. So we learn through our partners. We can support and help selflessly our partner, or of course they can play a more important role in our lives. Meanwhile, Ketu, if you have the sun or the moon or the ascendant in Scorpio, of course, also depends what degrees, but generally Ketu will ask you to let go of something, release something, detox, transform, be more humble, be more spiritual. It might bring a bit more tiredness, for instance. But in this case, yeah, it's a very exciting eclipse in 7th house with Uranus, who likes to surprise us, to shock us. So there might be separations when it's really needed, and you feel that you are stagnating in your relationship. There might be, of course, some new sudden meetings, and let's say you're divorcing, and at the same time 2 months later you're marrying your new partner, right? So something like this, very interesting, unusual situation. You might sign some contracts with some IT companies or some technical experts, or taking advice and consultation from an astrologer. Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, she is very happy with Jupiter in your 5th house. So maybe we're more talking really about romantic partnerships, because Venus is bringing you joy and Jupiter is bringing you a lot of expansion in your romantic life. So maybe you have a lot of suitors and people who court you and admire you around you. That's a great luck. Venus and Jupiter, great luck for playing the lottery or winning some sport competitions. 5th house, it talks about hobbies and business. So there might be also some successful deals and contracts with your business partners or clients. Of course, you might meet people who enjoy the same activities like you, and that would help you, find partners in crime, like partners for your hobbies, favorite activities that make your heart really happy. And last but not least, 5th house is children, 7th house partner. So maybe you decide to have a child in your family, or something beautiful is happening to your children. Dear Sagittarius, for you, this eclipse falls into your 6th house. So we're talking about your health, your work and routine that might change suddenly. Maybe suddenly there is more technical equipment in your work, in your office, or you move to a higher building and higher floor. As per Uranus, there might be some sudden IT experts or foreigners coming to help you in your work. Maybe there's group projects happening currently. Of course, Uranus might give you, if we talk about health, some interesting, unconventional way of treatment. It might be through herbs. It might be this kind of Bach drops, you know, from essential oils from plants and flowers. It can be based on vibrations, magnetic field, laser, Ayurveda, maybe. Some interesting health exercises you might start that will surprise you, even yourself. Some people who might help you can appear in your life, whether help you with work or with your home and home activities. Repairments, maybe suddenly you'll decide to start repairments at home, or you will finish them. Maybe you'll demolish some old property and start building from scratch your new home. And yeah, you see Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, she is very happy with Jupiter in your 4th house. So we're talking about family, parents, or place of living. Maybe you're moving abroad and suddenly all your regime is like upside down. Maybe you need to take care of your parents now and take them to this interesting medical facilities with a non-traditional medicine. Maybe you are really expanding your living space. Maybe more people come to live with you, some flatmates, or you're renting some property, or building new one, or maybe you are taking a pet to your family, to your home. Dear Capricorns, for you, this eclipse falls into your 5th house. So shaking up your passion, maybe a new romantic partner, or there might be sudden change in relationships with romantic partner, in relationships with children, and or there might be a sudden news about pregnancy and children. 5th house is everything we love doing, so hobbies, and you might start being interested in astrology or something very innovative and unusual as a hobby. Maybe you go to pilot courses or the simulators as flying. A 5th house can be also about your own business or performance. Suddenly some of you can become popular and perform on a stage or have an exhibition and show yourself to your public. And of course, in the business, you might introduce some new technologies in your business. Meanwhile, Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, is very happy. She conjuncts Jupiter in your 3rd house. So we're talking here about a lot of communications, meetings, movement around, whether it's around your neighborhood or around social media. Maybe it's education, because maybe your hobby is related to studying something. So you start studying astrology, for example. It might be that you are interested in racing and cars. You should be careful with speeds, though, here. Maybe you want to join a course to do something manually, crafts with your hands. Pleasant news, great joy in meeting people, in communicating. It's very good time eclipse, I would say, for the ones who have online business, who do some trading, blogging, social media, PR, or advertisement. Dear Aquarius, for you, this eclipse happens in your 4th house. We're talking about something new, unusual happening in your family. Maybe suddenly there is a news about new member coming to join your family, new house, change of residency, change of place of living. Some internal turmoil can be, because fourth house is our inner self, hidden from the world, it's our emotions, our past. So maybe suddenly you discover something shocking from your past, or you get back to your old place of living, your native country, discover something with your parents. Maybe you'll have very honest conversation with them. Maybe you decide to establish some smart technologies in your home, or move to some higher floor or building. Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, she's very happy with Jupiter in your second house. Venus and Jupiter in second house can bring you big financial incomes, increase in salary, increase in the sources of your income. So several jobs, very pleasant, very interesting for you. Can be teaching, can be tour guiding, can be traveling. You become some kind of a demanded expert, respected, popular. But also second house is the budget overall. So maybe it's also how you spend money, and now you're prone to spend a lot, and especially for your parents and family and your household. So maybe you're buying some beautiful, maybe even luxury furniture, and or establish some lovely, proper material foundation, take good care of your belongings, of your body, of your health, of your diet. Here, Jupiter might bring some expansion and growth of your kilograms as well, like your weight. So be careful with your diet. And last but not least, you might work on your self-esteem, right? Fourth house, our deep emotions, memories from childhood. Maybe you are working with a therapist or psychologist, or you do some regressions, and you discover suddenly within yourself that buried dog, as we say metaphorically, something that didn't allow you to fully love and appreciate yourself, through which usually we earn respect and proper finances in life. Dear Pisces, for you, this eclipse happens in your third house, stimulating your communication with other people in your neighborhood, in your local environment. Maybe there will be some celebrations and you will participate. It might be something unexpected as news coming to you from your relatives, siblings, cousins, neighbors. Maybe you're changing your environment by relocating somewhere, and there will be this new interesting society and people. Of course, Uranus with such eclipse talks a lot about internet and social media. So maybe perhaps you're opening a website, a page, a blog for yourself. Business is good here, some new business involving IT technologies, robotics, something futuristic, something innovative. And of course, maybe it's about astrology and esoterics as well. Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, is with Jupiter in your sign. So you continue blossoming and being very positive, optimistic, charming, attractive, happy. Venus is, of course, beauty and diplomacy and charm. Jupiter is status, is popularity. So you are very popular, maybe in social medias, maybe in your local environment, super optimistic, with authority. So maybe you gain some rewards, recognition. You yourself have this desire to be beautiful, to spread beauty around. It's great time for relationships. Maybe you will meet someone through social medias, online, special apps for dating, or while you're traveling, some short distance travels in the car. Maybe when you stop on a petrol station to reload, there will wait for you the love of your life. You're very open now to receive some knowledge. Maybe you're studying something, and in your course, because third house, eclipse in a third house is about new knowledge, education. as well as new vehicle, really, and travels. But it's a great time for new beginnings. Maybe take care of your physical appearance, of your body, of your health, of your look. Even though I would avoid the day of the eclipse itself for any cosmetic procedures. But yeah, it's also great for establishing relationships. I think now everyone are just, kind of admiring you and just fainting around you from your charm, dear Pisces. So that was the forecast for all the 12 signs, and I wish you a great and beneficial eclipse season.